Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtaprayeshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. So continuing with our discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter. So today we'll discuss 21 words onwards. So verse 21. Bhidyate hridaya granthe chidyante sarvasanshaya kshiyante chasya karmani drishta evatmanishvare. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. So thus means when it happened, like previously it is mentioned, when we engage in hearing the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, the instructions of Srimad Bhagavatam, then slowly one person comes to the point of mode of goodness, and he gets, and he has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord, gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. And then what happens is, then all the knots in the heart are cut to pieces. All the misgivings are cut to pieces. All the knots in the heart are pierced. Okay, now what are the knots in the heart? So Bhidyate Hridaya Granthi. They are knots in the heart. Knots in the heart means we all think of ourselves as this body. That's the biggest problem, which is called Ahankar. Ahankar, like somebody explained, means I am this car, means I am this body. So that knot is cut, is pierced, means then a person can see himself properly. And I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. And this is very difficult to get rid of. Although Krishna started Bhagavad Gita with this instructions only, that you're not this body, you are a spirit soul. He's telling Arjuna, and through Arjuna he's telling all of us. But it's so difficult to give up. That we are not this body. And this is the ahankar that we have to give up. In the purport, Prabhupada writes, attaining scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead means seeing one's own self simultaneously. As far as the identity of the living being as spirit self is concerned, there are a number of speculations and misgivings. The materialist does not believe in the existence of the spirit self, and empiric philosophers believe in the impersonal feature of the whole spirit, without individuality of the living beings. So living beings, spirit soul is an individual, but materialist does not want to believe in that because their whole philosophy is eat, drink and be merry, khao pio jio. So if the soul is there, then it's going to be a big problem. And the soul, which is going to take next body, next life, again a big problem, because then we have to pay for all the sins. So for them, they don't believe in the presence of soul. And then the empiric philosophers or who believe in the impersonal feature, for them it's very good. After this life, nothing, because the soul merges in void, nothing happens afterwards. So they're also happy. But it's a real transcendentalist who Prabhupada writing. But the transcendentalists affirm that the soul and the super soul are two different identities, qualitatively one, but quantitatively different. So that's the real understanding. There are many other theories, but all these different speculations are at once cleared off as soon as Shri Krishna is realized in truth by the process of Bhakti Yoga. As soon as Krishna's sun is arisen within one's heart, the darkness of materialistic speculations about the absolute truth and the living beings is at once cleared off. In the presence of the sun, the darkness cannot stand, and the related truths that were hidden within the dense darkness of ignorance becomes clearly manifested by the mercy of Krishna. So this is what happens when one starts engaging in devotional service, especially in this day and age of chanting the holy names. Then when Krishna enters the heart, Krishna's name enters the heart, then there cannot be any darkness of ignorance in the heart. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shikshashtakam, he pretty much summarized all the Vedic studies in Shikshashtakam. He took us from 0 to 100. And the very first verse is Cheto Darpan Marjanam. That's the first thing that is going to happen if we are chanting properly. Cheto Darpan Marjanam means the mirror of the heart will get cleansed. Means what? If the mirror is dirty and if we are looking at the mirror, we are trying to see our own image, but we'll see it wrongly. If the mirror is dirty, we cannot see it clearly and we'll see it wrongly also. So similarly, the mirror of the heart, when the soul is there, soul is in the heart, and he tries to see himself, then mirror of the heart is so dirty because of so many desires, so many sanskaras of so many lifetimes. When the soul sees, he sees, okay, I'm this body. I'm Indian, I'm Pakistani, I'm American, I'm Chinese, I'm man, I'm woman, I'm dog, I'm cat, I'm this, I'm that. The soul cannot see oneself properly. So when we start chanting, then slowly this dust from the heart, from the mirror, it starts getting cleansed. Then the soul can see properly, oh, I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. And who am I? I'm a spirit soul. Where did I come from? I came from spiritual world. I have a eternal relationship with Krishna. All I have to do is I have to revive that dormant relationship. So that is the process of self-realization. But that happens only by the mercy of Krishna when we chant his holy name. So the name is non-different from Krishna, and then the name enters from our ears. We chant by our mouth. When we hear properly, attentively, the name enters through the ears and it goes into the heart. And there it starts cleaning. But if we chant, again, it all boils down to our quality of chanting. If we chant inattentively or just mechanically, then that's why our society is also called ISKCON. ISKCON means it goes from one kan, ISKCON se jaake ISKCON se nikal jata hai. It doesn't go from both the ears and goes to the heart. The holy name doesn't do that. It just goes from one ear and gets out of the other ear. If you're just chanting mechanically. So that's why we have to put in best effort to chant properly, chant attentively. I know it's a struggle. It's a struggle for everybody, but we have to still try because it's a very important process, very valuable process that has been given to us by mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and through disciplic succession by Srila Prabhupada's mercy. We've been given it freely, openly to everybody. All we have to do is sit down and chant and japa properly. 16 rounds or whatever rounds everybody does. We have to try to concentrate, chant attentively. So then this Bhidyate Hriday Granthi, the knot of the heart, will be pierced. Then we can see properly who we are. Prabhupada further writes, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that in order to show special favor to his pure devotees, he personally eradicates the dense darkness of all misgivings by switching on the light of pure knowledge within the heart of a devotee. By switching on the light of pure knowledge. The soul is made of Sat, Chit and Ananda. Sat means it's eternal. Chit means full of knowledge. Ananda means full of bliss. So Prabhupada, when he's writing, by switching on the light of pure knowledge within the heart of a devotee, means Krishna doesn't give any external knowledge or extraneous knowledge to the soul. Soul is already full of knowledge. We all have, the knowledge is there inside us. It's been covered over. We have forgotten it. That's all. So just like for Guru, it's also says that Om Agyan Timrandasya Gyananjana Shalakya. Means he with this torch of knowledge, he removes the ignorance, darkness of ignorance. He doesn't give new knowledge. Krishna also doesn't give new knowledge to us. We all have it inside us. That's a proper, very nicely writing. By switching on the light of pure knowledge, means the darkness is there, the bulb is off. He has to turn it on again. And in Bhagavad Gita 10:11, Krishna is saying, no, when somebody approaches me, serves me with love, I give him the knowledge. I turn on the knowledge within his heart. So knowledge is there. He is waiting for us to serve him properly. Therefore, because of the personality of Godhead taking charge of illuminating the heart of his devotee, certainly a devotee engaged in his service in transcendental love cannot remain in darkness. So it cannot happen. Krishna, who's like sun, this is what Prabhupada also wrote on Back to Godhead magazine, the title. Krishna Surya Sama Maya hai andhakar, Jahan Krishna taha nahi Maya ra adhikar. Krishna is like sun, Maya is like darkness. Wherever there is sun, darkness cannot exist. So that's why if Krishna is there, then the devotee in his heart, he cannot remain in darkness. He comes to know everything of the absolute and the relative truths. The devotee cannot remain in darkness. And because the devotee is enlightened by the personality of Godhead, his knowledge is certainly perfect. So his knowledge is certainly perfect. And moreover, Krishna sitting as Paramatma in our heart, he also, even if some knowledge somewhere, maybe some technical knowledge somewhere is lacking, Krishna as Paramatma can take care of that part also. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I personally preserve what my devotees have and I carry what they lack. Just like Srila Prabhupada, although if you look at his background, he did his undergrad in India and then he worked as a pharmacist. So he had some knowledge of chemicals and chemical reactions. And then scriptural knowledge, obviously it was there. But when he went to the West, if we ever get a chance to watch this video where Prabhupada is arguing or debating with the professors of UCLA, University of California at Los Angeles. Prabhupada was in Los Angeles temple and he is in the garden and all these professors, big professors come and sit down and they were debating. And they were the professors of theosophy. And they said we are modern theosophy. And Prabhupada just captured these two words and he defeated all these professors. Completely shattered them. I heard one professor was saying, oh, Swamiji, you are being unfair on us. Something like that. He could not even defend himself properly. Prabhupada could argue or debate on any topic with anybody, like on scientific topics, he could argue with a scientist. If you look at this book, Life Comes from Life, the kind of arguments Prabhupada gave, they were amazing. Because, of course, Prabhupada is a pure devotee, he's a Mahabhagat, he has full knowledge, and also Krishna is there in his heart to help him. With whatever he is lacking, Krishna will provide the answers. So this is what happens when one is engaged in devotion service. This is not the case for those who speculate on the absolute truth by dint of their own limited power of approach. Perfect knowledge is called parampara, or deductive knowledge coming down from the authority to the submissive oral receiver who is bona fide by service and surrender. So this knowledge comes down to whom? To the submissive oral receiver who's bona fide by service and surrender. So that's it. These are the qualities that we have to develop. We have to serve and we have to surrender completely. One cannot challenge the authority of the Supreme and know Him also at the same time. He reserves the right of not being exposed to such a challenging spirit of an insignificant spark of the whole, a spark subjected to the control of illusory energy. So he cannot be known by a person who wants to challenge him. He is completely independent. Krishna is completely independent. And so is the knowledge that he can give. He's not bound. So that's why in Bhagavad Gita also says, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavritta. I don't reveal myself to each and every person. Everybody is covered over them. Just like many years ago, long time, like maybe in 70s, there was an atheist in London. In London, there is a square, I believe Trafalgar Square, where anybody can go and speak about anything. He has full right. And if he is speaking nicely, or people, because people are always roaming around at that area, people will gather around and listen to him. Anybody can say anything. So this atheist, he was very popular. He was getting popular, and he would go to the Trafalgar Square, and he would just say, "I don't believe in God. If God exists, why doesn't He strike the light and kill me right now? Why doesn't He produce this lightning bolt and strike me dead if the God exists?" And obviously, it didn't happen that God would send a striking lightning bolt to kill him, and then he would say, "See, I told you, God doesn't exist." So the people who were listening to him, they were also, yes, they cheered, yes, God doesn't exist, because if he existed, he would have taken up the challenge. But why God has to take up the challenge of this rascal right then and there? He is completely independent. Krishna is completely independent. He doesn't have to take up the challenge when this atheist wanted. So obviously, ultimately, this atheist died because of death. Death had to come for everybody. But Krishna doesn't have to take up the challenge of these kind of persons. Krishna is completely independent. So that's why Prabhupada, he reserves the right of not being exposed to such a challenging spirit. And who of challenging spirit of whom? Of an insignificant spark of the whole, a sub-spark subjected to the control of Maya. So why Krishna has to take up this challenge? Doesn't make sense. So that's what Prabhupada is writing. This enlightenment perfectly enables the devotee to distinguish spirit from matter, because the knot of spirit and matter is untied by the Lord. The knot, the gant, the Hridaya Granthi, it is so tightly placed. That knot is so good, nicely bound, that the spirit and matter, because then we start thinking, I am this body. This is a knot. This is what is binding us with this body. Or in another way, we can try to understand this way, that soul and body. Soul is spiritual, body is material. So both cannot mix. It's just like water and oil. If you put a drop of oil in water, the oil doesn't mix with water. So it's just like that, soul and body. But because of consciousness of the soul, which becomes impure, which becomes material, this connection between soul and the body becomes like if we have put ink in water. The two mix so much, I mean, good luck in trying to remove the ink from water. So by the process of bhakti, this is the first thing that happens is soul tries to, or by Krishna's mercy, this knot is pierced, this granthi is gone. This knot is called ahankar, and it falsely obliges a living being to become identified with matter. As soon as this knot is loosened, therefore, all the clouds of doubt are at once cleared off. One sees his master and fully engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, making a full termination of the chain of fruitive actions. And this is what, but as soon as he engages himself in loving service of the Lord, he is at once becomes free from chain of karma. His actions no longer create any reaction or any material reaction. So this is what happens when one engages in devotion service. Next verse. Ato ve kavyo nityam bhaktim parmaya muda vasudeve bhagavati kurvanti atma prasadanim. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotion service to the Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such devotion service is enlivening to the self. So since time immemorial, transcendentalists, spiritualists, they have been rendering devotion service with great delight, because this devotion service is done with lots of love and fun. It enlivens the self. That's why we read other places in earlier days. This yayatma suprasidati. This gives the pleasure to the self. This is the only thing that can give pleasure to the self. The specialty of devotion service unto the personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, is specifically mentioned herein. Lord Krishna is the Swayam Rupa personality of Godhead, and all of the forms of Godhead, beginning from Shri Baladev, Sankarshan, Vasudev, Anirudh, Pradyumna, and Narayan, are extending to the Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, Leela avatar, Yuga avatar, and many other thousands of manifestations of the personality of Godhead. The transcendental pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna are not newly accepted, as argued by some less intelligent persons. His pastimes are eternal and are manifested in due course once in a day of Brahmaji, as the sun rises on the eastern horizon at the end of every 24 hours. So Krishna's pastimes are eternal, but they are enacted in this home of Vrindavan, earthly Vrindavan, once in a day of Brahmaji. So that we'll discuss when the time comes, specifically when his pastimes are conducted. But his pastimes are very sweet, and the person who engages in devotional service to the Lord, he also gets enlivened by being engaged in those pastimes, or by entering those pastimes, or just by talking of those pastimes. And that is bhakti. So I'll stop here, see if anybody has any questions or comments. So nice, today we had 20 devotees online. We have to make it 100 one of these days. That's a capacity of Zoom.
So we'll make it soon. This was our dream. Make it full, your class, but in person when we were not able to do that, at least I thought online we can easily do that. It's a matter of talking to people one-to-one. Everybody should get this benefit.
Yeah,
sitting at home they can.
And hopefully Pramod Mohanty Prabhu's desire is we should start the class in Hindi also. So if we have a Hindi audience, we can start
Yes,
another
please.
class in Hindi.
Yes, please, in Hindi. Actually, my mom is coming and I would like that she also hear this classes.
Okay. So we can start very soon. Let's see. If there are few devotees, at least 10 if they are there, then we can start in Hindi also. And then you can send the recordings to everybody all around if they want to listen in Hindi. So any other questions or comments? Like Abhishek Prabhu was saying there should be Ram Katha in Hindi. The other day we did Ram Katha, it was in English. I was saying there should be Ram Katha in Hindi. Maybe we can do that in the evening, like 5-6 days in the evening, we can do that, no problem.
Yeah, especially when the festivals are coming, before the festival, we can do that.
Sure. Now the Ramnami
Maybe have in the
just
temple.
passed, so Sita Navami is coming up.
Yes, please.
Yeah, Sita Navami is coming or coming up. Or 31st is Hanuman Jayanti. We can talk about Lord Hanuman on 31st.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, that will be wonderful, Prabhuji. Let's do that.
But somehow all these weekends we are going in one festival or the other. Bhagavad Gita is not getting anywhere. We are losing out on Bhagavad Gita classes.
We should have one special class in the evening during one of the weekdays. I mean, just so that the Bhagavad Gita session, we miss out on that.
I know, but see, evening everybody gets tied up. The time is not fixed when they would come home. So anyway, you all order me whatever you want me to do. I'm just your servant.
Prabhuji, you want to make any announcement regarding the yatra? Maybe you can stop the recording and.
Yeah, let me stop the recording first.